Okay guys, the last video got cut off, so I'm going to start from here. So the last thing we were supposed to do is divide the 270 into 260. Okay, so remember we subtracted 166, 140 away from that, 26. We asked for help. Decimal goes up. Bring this down. All right, so like I was saying, I know that 70 times 3 is 210. I also know that 70 times 4 is 280. So I got to go in here only 3 times. So we multiply for 210, subtract for 50, and then we could just keep doing this forever, okay? So I subtracted, now I'm going to bring down more help because I have that decimal. And then I want to get as close from 70 going into 500. So I know that 70 times 6 is 420. I know that 70 times 7 is 490. That's as close as I'm going to get. And then because it says to only go to the nearest tenth, then the final answer, I'm going to stop there, and I have 12.37. So because it says to round to the nearest tenth, I only carried this out 2 places after the decimal so that I can do my rounding, okay? So the answer to this is going to be 12.4 points per game. Okay, so remember, just for a moment, okay, I'm going to move this over. Remember, when you want to round to one of the place values, is you think to yourself, okay, I want to cut the number off right here because this is my tens place, so you underline it. You look behind it, and again, if you have a 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, you're going to round up. So again, that's why this changed from a 3 to a 4, and this is the tens place. So that's the answer, 12.4. Okay, so this is on average how many points he was scoring for every single game that he played if we just take an average of those 866 points. So for this one, number 32, give me a second, we're going to put 12.4. Okay, now let's move on to number 33, which this one right here is a proportion. So it's a proportion because, as you can see, you have a fraction, you have an equal sign, you have another fraction on the other side, but you got this unknown, okay? So what we're going to do here is when you do proportions, okay, give me 1 second. When you do proportions, writing the word proportions, you always cross multiply is the first step, cross multiply, and the second step is to divide, cross multiply and then divide. So let me tell you what I mean there, okay? So I'm going to write this problem down. 44 over 196 is equal to 11 over x. All right, so I'm going to cross multiply, not multiply across like we do with fractions. We're going to cross multiply. So I'm going to come this way and cross multiply, and then I drop my answer down. So 44 times x is 44x. You just marry them together. Put your equal sign because we have an equation that we're solving. So we're now going to cross multiply this other direction and drop our answer down. So we got to do a little scratch work, okay? So we're going to do 11 being multiplied by 196. So 196 times 11, okay? So of course here we get 6, 9, 1, 0 to hold our place, and then again 6, 9, 1. Just make sure you're very careful. All right, so now we're going to add all this up. And we're going to get 6, we're going to get 15, carry the 1, 9, 10, 11, carry the 1. Okay, so we get 2,156 when we multiply these two numbers. All right, now after we have cross multiplied, we've taken care of this step. Now we want to divide. So who are we going to divide by? Well, guess what? We're trying to figure out what x is, so we're going to divide by this coefficient or number that's in front of x. We're trying to figure out who he is. 44 times what gives us that 2,156. So we got to do division to both sides. And now 44 divided by 44 is 1. So the x is now by himself. And now we need to do TIBO, top in, bottom out. So I'm going to come over here to the side and do 2,156 being divided by 44. And just take your time, okay? So we're going to figure out how many times can 44 go into 215. So we'll do some scratch work. I'm going to come up here. So let's try 44, let's try times 3. So that's 12, and then 12 plus 1, 132. We can do better than that. Let's try 144 times 5. So I'm going to come here, 44, sorry, I'm running out of paper here, times 5. That's 20, and this is 220. So we overshot it, so let's go down to 4. We're going to go in there 4 times. We missed it. So let's do 44, going on the side here, times 4. Okay, that's 16 being multiplied, carry the 1, 176, okay? So we're going to do 44 times 4 is 176, subtract, we have to borrow, so let's make this a 1, let's make this an 11, this guy still needs money, so let's make this now a 10, and let's make this a 15, okay? 15 minus 6 is 9, 10 minus 7 is 3, okay, so we got 39, and now we got to bring down the 6. So we got to go higher than this 5 because we now got to divide in here. So let's try, I'm going to try 7, I'm going to try 8. So let's do 44 times 8 for 32. 32 plus 3, 35. So that's pretty close. If we just want to check real quick, let's add 44, and we would get 693. Right on the money. So we really should have went in there 9 times. So let's put a 9 here. We're going to multiply 44 times 9. It leaves us with no remainder. Perfect. So the answer is going to be 49 for that x, okay? That's what you were solving for. So remember, the cool thing about proportions is that, you know, if you have a calculator, the answer to this is right here, 49. So if you do 49 divided by 11, okay, and I'm just going to prove it to you. If I do 11 being divided by 49, see, I get this decimal, 0.224 and some change, right? Now, I want that to be equal, because I see the equal sign, to whatever this is over here. So if I do 44 divided by 196, see how I get the same answer? So that means that's the only x value, this 49, that can work, okay? So this is definitely the right answer if you want to check yourself. So you say 49 is equal to x. All right, let's move on to number 34. For number 34, it says, on Anne's bicycle, the ratio of pedal turns, so she's turning this pedal, okay? The ratio of pedal turns to, there's that word to, so that means you got a colon, to the rear wheel turns in her second gear is 4 to 7. So she paddles 4 different turns and she gets 7 turns on her back wheel. If her rear wheel turns this many times for every mile, per mile, how many times does her pedal turn in 1 mile? Okay, so let me start from here. All right, so we got where we were reading the question. If her rear wheel turns 595 times per mile, how many times does she turn the pedal in that 1 mile? Okay, so the video got cut off, so let's go back here. First thing is the relationship between the pedal turns to the rear wheel is 4 to 7. So I make a fraction, 4 per 4 to 7. The information at the top, the 4, is her pedal. The information in the denominator on the bottom, that's her rear wheel, the number of turns, okay? So now the information they gave me is that if her rear wheel turns this many times, so that means the rear information's at the bottom. So I'm going to put 595 right here. The question is, how many turns does she turn the pedal? That's my x. So I want to be very consistent with proportion. It's a relationship between one thing to another, and so be consistent. So on this side, pedal over rear wheel. Okay, so now we have a proportion. We're trying to solve for the number of turns on the pedal. So here we go. So I'm going to switch over to another page, switch fast. Okay, so now I'm going to take that 4 over 7, set it equal to x over 595. And remember, it's cross multiply and divide for proportions. So we're going to cross multiply this way. X times 7, it's 7x. Put your equal sign. Cross multiply this way. Drop it down. We got to do some scratch work. So 495 times 4. This is 20. That's 36 plus 2 is 38. This is 20 plus 3, 23. So that's what we have there. And then after we cross multiply, we have to divide. So divide by 7. We divide by the number in front of x because we want x by itself. Okay, so now x is equal to, and for the sake of time, I'm going to use the calculator, which I normally never do. So we're going to do 2,380 being divided by 7, and there's the answer. So she's going to do 340 pushes on her pedal, and her rear pedal is going to turn 595 times. Okay, so the answer is 340. So we go back here, and then that's the answer. 340 turns on her pedal. Sorry about that. 340 is the answer. Okay. All right, so 340, and they wrote the word times on the answer key. All right, let's see if I can squeeze in one more. All right, when necessary, round to the nearest hundredth. Okay, so let's see what we get here. So I showed this in another video about the percent equation. So as you can see, when you see something that says what is, and then it has something like 4% of, and then it has some wording, they could also say what percent of this number is. So anytime you see those words is, you see a percent, you see the word of, you need the percent equation. So let me show you what that looks like one more time. Percent equation. Give me a moment. All right, so for the percent equation, I'm going to abbreviate this for a second. It's is over of is equal to percent over 100. Okay, and I'm going to kind of zoom out. So for this problem, okay, can't stress this enough. You have to read very carefully. It says, what is? So I don't know what is. That sounds funny, right? What is 4%? Okay, so 4%. In this formula then, that means I'm going to put a 4 right here. So I'm going to put an equal sign. I'm plugging in 4 because that's my percent. In the equation, there's a 100 in the denominator. And guess what? 4 divided by 100 is 4%. So we go back to the word problem. What is 4% of 2,500? So because the of is my 2,500, I'm still figuring out what is, okay? So I'm going to put 2,500 here. X is my is, okay? And I think that's a little blurry. All right, that should be better. All right, so now we're going to cross multiply and divide. So we're going to cross multiply this way. And 2,500 times 4 should be 10,000. Yeah, 10,000. Equals, cross multiply that way. There's 100. We got to put the x. Don't forget that. 100 times x. Now we're going to divide by 100 to both sides to figure out what x is. Okay, so now x is equal to, now here's what I do. I cancel out my pairs of 0. What do you know? The answer is 100. Okay, so one more time. If I put 100 over 2,500, guess what? I'm going to get 0.04, which is 4%. So the answer to number 35 is 100. 100 equals x. All right? Okay, so let's look at the next one, and then try 37 on your own. Okay? All right, so now it says, really quick, in one town, 840 of the 1,750 people who voted in the last presidential election are Hispanic. What percent is that? So remember, percents are always, you know, part over whole. That's how you get percentages, like something with respect to total, okay, or part over total. So in this case, we have 840 people in the town, 1,750, okay, so again, it says 840 of the 1,750 people who voted in the last presidential are Hispanic. So this is the number of people who are Hispanic with the total number of people in the town. So you got to do TIBO, because you cannot go from a fraction to a percent in one step, okay, because they want the percent. So we're going to do top and bottom out.